in their second pick position, we'd see people take like an Undying or something, but playing Undying into Enigma in lane just doesn't feel particularly good. Going instead now for the Venge, so stacking up a bit of minus armor, but most importantly, right, is having that swap.
Yeah. It's kind of a nice little double whammy with the synergy plus the answer to the Enigma. Not a hero you'd normally expect to see picked up in the first phase, but really, I don't blame him. It feels like something that would almost maybe get banned out if they don't pick it up here, just because of how good it is against everything that you see on the other side.
Have we seen much of Enigma shifting out of 3 and into like position 4 or anything like that?
I don't know. I haven't been. I mean, I wasn't casting the first couple of days, so I've kind of tried to recap, look at all the drafts. I have not seen enough to say for sure.
Yeah, because I know we had it in the Arlington Major a couple of times from outsiders, where they were pretty happy just to shift things around if need be.
Yeah.
But I think here for Infamous, it's very likely going to be the 3 Enigma, 4 Doom. Maybe you've got flexibility with the Doom, but we'll see how things go as we do get rid of that Terrorblade along with the TA Beastmaster and Visage Marcy Bristleback, getting rid of them as well.
10 seconds
Yeah,
remaining.
we'll see. I think if you're Infamous, you're like, okay, we did this kind of snowball-y,
5 seconds
heavy physical damage draft that took objectives. You're kind of a little worried that Xtreme Gaming are maybe thinking about the same thing when you see Venge plus SF. They've also run this with like Slardar, so they did a Slardar SF draft with like a Dazzle and stuff in a couple of their previous games. So you're definitely thinking about some of those heavy, minus armor, early game momentum kind of 5-man death bowl drafts that could come out. And that's something Infamous themselves, they did last game, they're familiar with it, but you do need to protect yourselves and ban out against it.
Big fan of that ban. Again, going back to that topic of TI meta and heroes that come out, team fight capabilities of Enigma always cancelled by the Silencer, who has seen a little bit of rise in popularity recently with his buffs he's had over the past couple of patches. Xtreme Gaming, no strangers to that. They've picked Silencer themselves several times already so far.
10 seconds remaining.
I just remember back in the days like DDC Silencer like 6 years ago, just sitting in a fountain, knowing his only job is to press global. That's all you've got to do.
Don't move out on the map and potentially die like that. You will have one button. Don't even skill your other spells, No, it's nice to see Silencer a little bit back in the meta, even though it does still seem like the hero is just a global silence bot.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, one-trick pony.
Some of the other spells got a few little buffs here and there. The curse got some instant damage, but it's all little things that give, I think, Silencer a slightly better laning stage, which is, I think, the key if you want to play 5-position Silencer is having some strong laning tools.
Absolutely. And there goes the Slardar you mentioned. Morphling and Gyro also being taken out. Gyro, one of those heroes that we've seen have some success in the lane against the Enigma, hasn't done particularly well overall in terms of his win rate, as honestly a hero that I've not seen in quite some time, Grimstroke. Yes, he's partnered up with a Doom here, but that's a curious one for me.
Yeah, I'm wondering, obviously the synergy is there with the Doom, and it gives you some really crazy team fight, but this is not a hero we're seeing much of.
That's his first pick in LCQ, I think. I'm pretty sure he was one of the unpicked heroes.
All right, I know we knocked off Bane earlier today when Puppy picked him, so we're quickly getting down to a single-digit number of heroes that haven't been picked up.
Very cool. Yeah. Production confirming first Grimstroke of the tournament. Infamous bringing out some new strategies here.
Yep.
We'll see how it does with that. The double Doom, the double Malefice. Maybe they add in a few more elements to chuck into the Soulbind. But Xtreme starting to answer back now. Got their Venge Nyx support duo, and probably going to be looking for their offlaner at this point.
Yeah. This Nyx seems like a just solid pick. It's just this hero that can run around, give you vision, and just set up kills. I feel like that's what they're kind of lacking. Your Venge is playing more backline support to save someone from Black Hole. You're not using Venge swap to initiate, unless we suddenly see like a 3-position Venge, and you get some other answer for Enigma. But I think the Nyx kind of fills that gap, which up until the Nyx got picked up, it felt like a pretty big problem that needed to be addressed for Xtreme Gaming to make some plays. You can't just let a team with Doom Enigma farm it up. You need a way to kind of hunt them down.
Xtreme still leaving things a little flexible. SF, position 1 or 2, DP 2 or 3. probably going to be the 3 DP though, give you that tower push. You know, you've got the minus armor, so the Ghost's going to be buffed up a little bit better as well. And always going to have a decent time in the lane with the Nyx Assassin. You've got stun set up into a lot of damage.
And the response is going to be Alina. So, just looking at that lane matchup, perhaps, last time Xtreme Gaming played the Death Prophet, it was in the mid lane. They could flex it off lane, though, but either way, you feel pretty good about having Lina into Death Prophet, just that long-range burst damage, the ability to just kind of right-click her down, and she can't easily Spirit Siphon you. She's maybe going to get killed before she can do too much damage with her Exorcism.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? She maybe not removes, but she handles the flex well between both of those heroes, because she's decent against SF, very good against DP. So if you were looking to flex here for Xtreme, I guess you still have that final pick to go mid. Like if you have one SF, 3 DP, you can pick a hero here that maybe not counters Lina, but lanes a little better than the other two.
Yeah. No, I think I'll be curious to see kind of where these teams look to round out their drafts. I think the flexibility gives both teams a bit of options. The SF can kind of play in the mid lane as well as safe lane. Death Prophet can play in the mid lane as well as off lane. So theoretically, Xtreme Gaming can pick a core for any of the 3 lanes. But they don't have final pick of the draft. So they kind of have to commit to something or pick up something else that flexes and then, wait and see a bit.
And we do have another combo into Soulbind, right? Laguna Blade. Maybe we get the magic damage Lina. Been loving that through the regionals and into LCQ. It has become incredibly popular. And it looks like Xtreme going to ban out the Juggernaut. A bit of respect for Parker.
Yeah, after last game, I think you're just like, you know what the fans are going to say if you lose to the same hero 2 games in a row and get knocked out in an elimination match, and it's never good.
Yes.
You gotta ban it after you've lost game 1, and I think, at least from what we've seen, Infamous is a team that likes to play super aggressive with their lanes. I mean, Parker, his playstyle specifically is not the sit back and farm when it comes to the lane or the game as a whole. He's always looking to hunt for kills and play these more kill-hungry carry heroes. So we'll see what he gets his hands on instead. I mean, a carry Doom is not out of the question, I think, but at least right now, particularly with the Lina there, you've got that physical damage potential to come out from the mid lane. So there is an option for a carry Doom, but it does give you very little scaling into the late game.
Oh, it's the Sven, isn't it? They ban the PA. I love the CK ban from Xtreme Gaming. It's a point-and-click stun into Soulbind. It's a tanky hero that can allow that early team fighting. But I think here Parker is going to be looking at that Sven thinking, yeah, I've got Stormhammer. I've got the ability to just click into these enemy heroes nicely. And Warcry. Warcry, you've got bonus armor against a minus armor strap.
Yeah, I think the main thing is you're not looking at like a straight counter to any kind of like, AoE summon type stuff. Usually it's picked against the Nature's Prophet type heroes, but honestly, I think as far as carries left in the pool goes, Sven seems pretty solid here. The super burst damage against Death Prophet, low armor Ember Spirit. Like if you just need damage to dump in like a black hole or to dump on top of a Doom target. So don't hate it. I don't think you want to go too greedy. I think you want that kind of fighting carry. I mean, unfortunately, CK Jug banned out. Maybe Bloodseeker's an option.
What about Faceless Void? He gives you more team fight, but is he maybe a little too slow?
It is a little slow. I mean, you're very big on the ultis, but I think slow can still work this game if they want to take that approach, because I think there's enough damage with the Lina to kind of throw into the Chrono. You've got a good lane with the Grimstroke. You can kind of chuck the Inkswell on Void, get some kill threats. So I think it's a slower option, but it works with their draft. So it comes down to like what their preference is. And I think, we've seen a bit of Infamous trying to go for more, I think, fast-paced Dota. So maybe that's not their style, but I think it's still a good pick.
This is where they pick something neither of us have mentioned, and they grab Slot. Huskar.
Let's go. Are they doing it mid? Are they doing it versus the Ember, or is it just going safe lane? Because it is Parker picking it up. So we'll see if they do any lane swaps here, but that is, something. You mentioned something a bit spicy, and that's exactly what Infamous Gaming have in mind.
That's what they love to do. That last pick, I'm thinking, okay, there's solid options. You mentioned a couple of stable options. Of course, get a bit of flair for that final touch to the draft here for Infamous. I mean, it can be a bit spooky, playing into Ghost, into Nyx, minus armor from the Venge and that Shadow Fiend. But he's a very, very irritating hero to deal with when he's got the backup of things like Black Hole, stuns from the Grimstroke and the Lina to actually get the job done. And you know, maybe more than the other heroes we mentioned, he's pretty good at just standing in front of a tower and hitting it over and over again.
Yeah.
So you're kind of that vision giver and the forcing factor to make your enemies fight into you.
And I think generally, like, Lina as a hero almost requires like other heroes on your team to just be able to kind of stand in front and let her just, you know, sit back and just right-click people down. They didn't really have that hero. Like when you go, like Doom Enigma, Doom sort of is that if you're doing it as a core, but they're playing the support Doom, so you're not expecting this Doom to get a lot of farm, to be able to frontline. So I think the Huskar as just this frontline tank who can dish out damage and basically force Xtreme Gaming to go on the Huskar is going to really set up Leo style to have a great game.
Yeah, because they don't have that much actual nuke damage. They've got a bit of minus armor and some right clicks that can hit hard. But if he, you know, in particular goes for like a halberd here on this Huskar, armored halberd, you've got the ability to deal with the Shadow Fiend very, very nicely and just keep on going as we get ourselves into game 2. Infamous one game to the good here against Xtreme Gaming, and it is elimination time. We're in the lower bracket of the LCQ, and Xtreme Gaming potentially one loss away from dropping out of contention for TI.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, they finished yesterday second place in their group, probably feeling at least, you know, a little bit of confidence coming in today that they've been playing some good Dota, and then they could just very quickly lose. I mean, they won their first game of the day, but this could be just 4 straight losses and TI dreams are over. So this is it.
Yeah, it's wild. Xtreme, they do get some early vision down. I don't know if Affliction saw him placing the ward. It looks like he's pinging it out and he has a sentry.
Will he? If he puts it on the cliff, though, he might miss the Radiant Ward. We'll see if he guesses right with this. Maybe he puts it between. But if you put it between, you need a way to scout the high ground. So,
yeah.
We'll see how things pan out with this early ward battle. But for now, I don't think anything crazy is going to be happening with these lanes. Oh, okay. So the big question, yeah, Leo style. Will he go mid or will the Huskar go mid? And they are sending Huskar mid in the Lina safe lane.
So is that in particular the Ember Huskar matchup?
Yeah. Absolutely. They're thinking the Huskar can, you know, even though Parker's a safe laner, he's played some mid lane in the past, and, you know, he's a Huskar player. He plays an SA. Everyone in SA is a Huskar player if you're a core. So he's probably played this Ember matchup before.
It's not fun for the Ember Spirit. No.
You get a couple of levels where things are... It's not like the old Ember versus Huskar where, like, level 1 you're dead. This, you know... You get like 2 levels of peacetime, but once it's like level 3, level 4, yeah, it gets pretty miserable.
Yeah, level 1 inner fire for the Huskar.
Yep.
You're going to make things a little more challenging. Then, of course, back into the Burning Spears for level 2 and 3. As we do see Michael just TP back to his tier 2. Get away from the Shadow Fiend and the Venge. And DY, yeah, he went Wave of Terror level 1 here. He was trying to scout out for any wards being placed down, but that also means there's no stun at level 1 here in the lane. Looks like it's a pretty good way of dealing with Eidolons, though. Wave, raises, a few right clicks.
Yeah, quite like it. I think it just makes Enigma... You can't really use these Eidolons to last hit because you're just going to be feeding gold. So we're already seeing the Enigma deny a creep and just pull those Eidolons away after 1 wave of Terror. So definitely decent. And yeah, his Eidolons, 2 of the 3 get farmed up. So very annoying stuff for the Enigma. And you've got to be careful about feeding too much gold away when you are playing the Enigma.
Yeah, very nicely done. And there, Parker. In that mid lane against Paparazzi, he goes for the Berserker's Blood level 2, actually. So wanted that additional bit of regen to stay in the lane. Misses out his inner fire and has to pop the stick. Had a fairy fire as well, but Paparazzi, it feels like getting a little more out of this lane than really expected. At least in the first couple of levels. And some lane dragging going on as well. And Leo Style and Old 11 playing between tier 1, tier 2 top, and Affliction PYW having the same battle over on the Radiant side.
Yeah, these let's pull waves behind towers and just annoy the cores a little bit. But PYW does get pretty low here. It does have the protection of his tower, though, so as long as Grimstroke's kind of contesting these and not letting him get free denies, you're pretty happy if you're Infamous here still.
Yeah, it does start to become a little more careful when Old 11 tracks back into the lane. A stun into a Crypt Swarm, and now a level 2 DP, so having the Spirit Siphon could be the undoing of Affliction. And this is where Parker really does start to become a pain in the backside. He's level 3, and Ember Spirit's going to realize very quickly this is almost unlaneable.
You still have to be a little careful, because Huskar can get pretty low in this lane, doesn't have the bottle regen, does have Tangos, and some, 10 health regen per second, but there is potential to overplay your lane and, have Ember turn it around on you. But right now with the 1-1-1 build, I don't think Ember's really got the damage for it.
I'm kind of curious where this build goes now from Paparazzi, because we've seen from lanes like this, I think Ember versus Necro is one that always comes to mind, where the Ember Spirit, like level 3, level 4, will actually go behind enemy tier 2 and try and cut wave and farm there with maxed out Flame Guard, dragging waves around. Might see Paparazzi do that, rather than just sit here and watch Parker hit creeps.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see now with level 4. I think you're either leveling up Slight or the Flame Guard. So Flame Guard's the more conservative approach. He gets that, and does get some good damage in. They are battling it out here. Parker, it's going to get him very low.
Fire. 6
TP
stacks
home?
of the spears.
He's
TPing home.
Disaster.
He's dead. Parker gets the first blood, and the tips go his way as well.
TP on cooldown. He's respawning, and he's going to have to do the old walk of shame back to the mid lane. Nobody's holding his hand.
Oh, dearie mate. Oh, we knew. You called it after a couple of levels. Like, okay, you feel a bit comfortable, level 1, 2, 3, but it looks like they're doing the old lane shift now as well. Old Levin, level 3 against almost level 5 Huskar is going to come and try and keep that lane to himself. But now you're going to have an Ember Nyx lane against a Lina Grim.
Yeah.
Double melee against double ranged.
That doesn't sound like this is like a very much, like, not even a band-aid fix. This almost just feels like you're giving Infamous something else, which I don't think Parker sees this Death Prophet come mid and think, oh no, my lane's in a bad spot. Now he's probably just like, okay, here's a new hero that I can kill. You're a level 5 Husker against a level 3 Death Prophet. Like, as low as he is, this Death Prophet has to play super safe because of the level difference.
Yeah, I mean, at least you can last hit from range with Crypt Swarm. Parker not going to go for the water rune though. Let the DP get it. But then you also have this situation, right, where Ember bought bottle, right? DP didn't. So you're not going to have the full utilization out of those bottles because your Ember is parked up in the top lane. Now, Axel does lose his courier. I believe it had boots on it. Yeah, boots and an observer ward. Has to fairy fire and try and run away. Ink swells up. A good move there with the carapace from PYW, allowing Paparazzi to dive. A bit of morale boost there for XG as he also drops the tree to try and block the vision. And Leo Style not landing that stun means it doesn't lead to a kill.
Yeah, nice little find there for Xtreme Gaming nonetheless. As yeah, I mean, if you're a Paparazzi, you're not feeling all that comfortable playing the off lane, but considering you're in a double melee lane, you want to be just going for these kills as much as possible. And if you're old 11 in the mid lane, you're thinking, I just got to stay alive. Like, don't let this Husker snowball out of control by getting more and more kills. We saw last game what Parker can do when he got those, 5 kills on Jug. It almost feels like they've tried to set him up to do something similar here.
Dire are scanning.
It sure does. Now, there are 3 lanes in Dota 2, though. God.
True.
What's happening down bottom lane? Because I've not looked there in a good 4 minutes.
Well, you see, bottom lane, there's no Husker, so not a whole lot's happening. No, you're gonna. I mean, Enigma's doing his thing, denying creeps. SF is trying to farm Eidolons as much as possible. But at least until we see level 6s come into play, it doesn't really feel like there's a lot of kill threat, except on someone like maybe Doom if he oversteps. There's Avenge done into some razors, but it is a pretty passive farming lane, to be honest.
Now Affliction going to try and build up some stacks at the same time. He's left that top lane, so Leo Style potentially exposed. Looks like he's pretty much out of mana, but does have a full stick here. And PYW leads in with a stun. Pretty speedy Lina trying to get this Light Strike Array, or a Dragon Slave, in fact. And yeah, holds onto the stick and the Fairy Fire. Perfectly done by the Lina to slip away from danger.
Still good.
Oscar mid.
Yep.
There we go, back in with a life break. Quick TP and a turnaround from Old 11 and PYW at least keeps the DP alive.
Yeah. Now, that's the kind of move you want to make if you're Parker, though. You want to keep forcing these like TPs or at least TP cancels out. Bottom lane, some good damage on SF is not going to be enough to bring him down, but both teams just getting kind of zoned away from a lot of farm. Like, Leo Style's not feeling good about his game up in this top lane on Lina, despite having 32 last hits. Like, the lane has just been, like, permanently pushed away from his tower, and anytime he tries to get near it, he's just being bullied away from it. So, as a result, Lina forced to go back in jungle. It's just a bit of a awkward situation for him playing in the safe lane.
Yeah, I guess it's nearly time for Parker to leave his lane, though, right? Armlet's coming.
Yeah.
Boots are not far away, so it's pretty much time to shine here for the Huskar.
Yeah,
We'll see what Xtreme Gaming do, though, because they are lurking around with the Nyx Assassin in the mid lane.
Curious to see what the call's going to be with Husker. Like, do you camp mid lane and just keep zoning anybody away who comes to farm, try to take the mid tier 1 tower, or do you, give up the mid lane to someone like Lina and go pressure some of those side lanes a bit more?
I see old Levin struggling to keep this wave back. He's like right-clicking the catapult and you're doing like 30 damage a hit. Like, oh, go on. Hold back the Husker as best I can. There's Parker with his armlet just going to back away. So no real concerted effort there from Infamous to push the tier 1. As they try and make a play again bottom. Malefice doesn't lead into the Infernal Blade, and the TP in from PYW trying to catch out Michael. They do lose the Venge, but a 1-for-1 trade in the end. Shadow Fiend a little worse for wear in his bottom lane though, with his urn up for Frank. Some severe problems for the bot spot there for Xtreme.
Yeah, that's not the worst case scenario as far as just losing some supports here, but they need to keep this SF alive and keep him farming. So now they've able to, you know, not get him pushed out entirely from this bottom lane. Frank being level 6, so does pose a problem for them, and they're going to fix that by rotating in DY. So they've got both supports down here, and they're looking for kills.
They've got Black Hole. Oh, he's got no mana for it, though. Stunned up, and look at Parker. Invis Huskar in with a life break straight towards the Shadow Fiend, and that's another quick kill for Infamous. While PYW gets out his carapace, but slowed to a crawl.
Oh, someone needs to finish him off.
Frank.
There you go.
Eidolons. There we go. So Infamous 4 heroes strong down in the bottom lane, get the kills they need and transfer it into a tier 1 push.
There's your answer to the Husker question. Do you play around mid with the Husker, rotate heroes there, or does Husker go to these side lanes and finding an invis rune, making his way down bottom? Parker gets a big kill on SF, the hero that really needs the farm to answer Husker. Like, Ember's never really going to get items or farm to do a whole lot. Leo Style, meanwhile,
good stuff.
Chased down, yeah. Won't get picked up by the exorcism, so gets back to safety.
And Old 11 has to make the run towards top tier 1 because you want to use this Exo to get kills or objectives. Can't be just used freely to force people away. So it's nice to see there that Paparazzi already setting up for it. And with that Blightstone, try and get the trade on the objectives. It feels like Xtreme is, I don't know, a little bit lost here, trying to figure out what to do. They've got PYW holding bottom lane, but the other heroes still looking for a place on the map. And Infamous have vision on them. They've got this high ground ward watching triangle. Ward in mid, looking in for maybe a push here as well. It's a struggle for the Radiant.
Yeah. And they can't afford to just give everything on the map up. Like, they need to defend some of these objectives, particularly the tier 1 mid tower. But if Enigma gets like this fast Wraith packed up and they really start 5-manning around the Husker, who's going to have a very fast BKB, potentially ages to go with it, this game quickly gets out of control. Like, if you're someone like Lou, you're thinking, I need to get some early game items here on my SF because these fights are going to be coming to me very fast.
Yeah, good spot to be in, that enemy jungle, taking out any little stacks, spotting out what Infamous have left for them. Just a few scraps there in the northern jungle. It looks like Michael going to be given that top lane to try and hit 6. While Leo Style in a battle with Paparazzi in the mid. What's he got? Falcon Blade, Treads. So feels like it's going to be the right-click Lina. Curious to see what actual item progression will be, though. Like, is it Dragonlance, or do you rush BKB here on Leo Style?
Yeah, I think you just want to get whatever kind of syncs up best with, like, your team's, you know, your team's power spikes. Like, your Husker's going to be ready to fight very soon, so I don't think you want to go too greedy on the lane. I think a fast BKB Dragonlance type build makes sense. It's interesting that, yeah, he had the Boots of Travel queued up and went for the Treads, so I think he's on the right page here. Like, where his team, or whether he himself or his team said something, it's very much like a let's not go greedy with itemization. Let's try and close this game out pretty fast and put them on the back foot and basically get whatever we can to fight as soon as possible. So I think BKB would make a lot of sense there.
I mean, XG already bleeding. Why let them recover? Just make sure that these hits keep coming. In towards mid, break the trees there. Frank, make sure there's no sneaky TPs coming in. But it looks like Xtreme, they want to fight this, they want to defend. Paparazzi can spam out these sleights of fist, and they've forced them away.
It's a lot of Xtreme Gaming heroes. I mean, they're bringing the whole 5-man unit just to come and defend this T1 mid. Doom's not even there. He's up getting some farm in himself, so PYW will catch the Enigma with a nice carapace here.
Alright, good bit of damage, but Husker back in with Black Hole to help. The swap already used, but down goes Enigma. Parker's still allowed to get damage flowing in towards Old 11, but the Light Strike Array misses, so Parker dropping quickly, and the Huskar's down. They get the big kill they needed. Old 11, a double kill for him, while Michael picks up one for himself, but it's Infamous losing heroes quickly. 3 for 3 so far. The turnaround, though. Leo Style, he's the real carry. Forgot about the Lina with her right-click damage. Gets back onto DY, and it's a 4 for 3 in the end.
Yeah, ends up being not too shabby. If you're Infamous, at least you're looking at the numbers at the top and thinking, oh, that went fine. You know, it looks like a kind of bad fight when your Husker dies early on. The Enigma, despite getting off a decent black hole, dies kind of quickly in it because of how low health he was when he cast it. So 4 for 3, and you know, this is pre-item timings. Like, BKB is close but wasn't up for it. They don't have the Aegis, so all in all, just you kind of see Xtreme Gaming, they just run out of gas a bit there. They use so much to get those first couple of kills on Enigma and Husker that by the time Lina shows up, there's just nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, it's a really awkward place to fight as well. Like, neither team really has the best vision, but I guess that one bit of high ground war there that Infamous had allowed them to keep the scouting going, get the turnaround, as they realized, yeah, DY and Luke completely stranded with 3 heroes already down. It does mean, though, with that move, Xtreme defend their tier 1. A very, very bold push back onto Infamous's attempt. But it looks like Infamous is going to stick around with Husker and Lina mid. No, never mind. They're going to go back to farming. Item timing is far too important. As the BKB rushes, they are starting to come into play.
Yeah, I think if you're Xtreme Gaming, you're starting to feel a little bit nervous. Like, these fights are like the one we just saw, don't quite go the way you'd like, and you're clicking this Husker, you're clicking this Lina and thinking, oh, they haven't got many items, but they're going to be close to some. Like, double BKB is going to come up very fast, plus a Wraith Pact in 400 gold. All of a sudden, the Infamous 5-man is going to be able to easily take this tier 1 mid tower, probably take a free Roshan, and your options to stop that from happening is some kind of big 5-man smoke gank where you kind of catch them by surprise. Their strength is going to be Paparazzi's Ember, like him getting on the back lines, forcing out a bad BKB, which you then like kind of kite around. They need to really get some value out of his Ember and play around some of these power runes that he's been able to pick up.
Yeah, now you're going to have the value from this Michael Doom having Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
Might be nice to see him grab that War Stomp creep, but so far utilizing the Ice Armor from the Ogre just to keep his cause topped up in these fights against the physical right-click from the SF. Even just the Ghost from the DP as well.
Oh, Husker mid. Is he baiting or is he food?
It looks like food to me. He's going to get caught out by 4 heroes here. Burst into oblivion as Michael Leostal turning on to old 11. Quickly realizing, though, they cannot stand their ground, and Xtreme, they fight back. The swift jump, good swap, finding the big kill they needed.
Yeah, that's a really good find there, using the swap aggressively, knowing that the black hole was still on cooldown. It was up in about 10-15 seconds time when they went in, but I'm pretty sure they timed that one and knew they wouldn't need the swap as a cancel. Not to mention, you know, this is pre-BKB, so they've got other ways to cancel a black hole, so just slightly ahead of the Infamous item timings there with moves like this, and that's a big part of why they're going for these smoke ganks now. I mean, I mentioned the power runes and how important they are for Ember's ability to fight early on, but combine that with the fact these BKBs just aren't quite finished.
Yeah, the big problem now, though, for Xtreme is going to be this Roshan, right?
Yeah.
When Infamous are playing on curve, they've got BKBs, you can just see Parker beelining it into the pit. Doesn't care about the next assassin of PYW. Let Leostal chase him down. That's whatever.
Leostal's like, hey, I let you go. Don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah, we're taking Roshan instead. And Xtreme, Paparazzi lurking in the shadows, trying to get the slight to give the vision. Infamous smoking up behind the Husker as Leostal now moving into the pit. Tank things up a little bit for Parker. Wraith Pact is out from Enigma quickly too as they do jump in with a double doom. Soulbind coming in as Leostal doesn't land this. Oh, he gets a stun onto old 11 there a little bit. But Aegis already claimed. And Parker, the one to hold it. Oh, Paparazzi.
That's a
little snipe.
Yeah, little easy snipe. And that's the one thing, it is pretty annoying playing into this constant sight spam. Like, everybody's low. Like, Husker, yeah, his job and his place in a fight is often to be super low, but when your teammates are also getting low, it doesn't feel all that good. Particularly for Husker, you know, there's always that danger. Now that he's got an Aegis, less so, but, you know, a well-timed slight with a Searing Chains when you're, you know, in between armlet toggles or something can suddenly set up a kill onto you, particularly with stuff like Wave of Terror and Impale being long-range nukes as well, so just have to be a little bit careful, and I feel like they need to get a lot out of this first Aegis because I don't think the next Roshan fights after this first Roshan are going to go quite as easily or smoothly for them.
This is their big window now for Infamous. Rally around the Husker. Parker. And plant himself down bottom. And it looks like, yeah, the line's being drawn. Try and head southwards, where Paparazzi and PYW are both lurking a little deeper in the jungle. And Division's going to spot them, though, that lane ward. Might see them if they come any further forward, but they don't come out of the fog. They're safe and sound back behind the outpost.
Definitely pressures on Infamous, though. Like, you can see there the odds favoring Xtreme Gaming. Definitely, I mean, this is a draft where they're pretty comfortable, just kind of sit back, soak up some of the pressure. As long as you're not giving away too much to a Husker lineup, things usually can go okay.
They missed their chance onto Frank. Infamous very speedily getting into position to kill off the Knicks. And not getting the stun on him. Paparazzi and PYW trying, but unable to do it. But the Aegis is claimed. Slight change there, going to kill off the Husker. All they got out of it was a tier 2, and it's not the same position, right? They can't go high ground quite just yet.
Yeah, I think they just don't have the strength yet to go for any kind of a high ground push.
Or maybe with a no life break, it was still on cooldown.
I think this is going to turn into a game where they have to kind of slow it down and play a bit more around map control and out-farming their opponents, but they haven't got a gold lead or anything there, even when it comes to the overall net worth. And when you look at the cores, 3 of the top 4 are all on this Radiant side, so it's going to be quite some time before we start looking at, you know, like scary late game Enigma with Blink, BKB. Even then, you're looking at Venge swap as an answer to it, so it does feel like Infamous need to do a bit more here.
It's a curious spot, honestly, because it's felt like Leo Stahl has had a decent lane, a decent game. He's not died yet. But maybe that move where he went trades instead of travels has halted his farm just a little bit too much.
At the time, I thought it made a lot of sense, but now with where the game's at, I'm like, I think they're in a better position if he does go Boots of Travel and plays, you know, Boots of Travel is best of both worlds. It lets you farm, but also join fights.
They got the SF.
That's a big one.
They got in there with Infernal Blade Inkswell. That is a huge kill onto Lu.
Yeah.
The rest of XG, they do extricate themselves with TPs. But this is now Infamous able to go for tier 1s and, you know, get into that enemy triangle area.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
They've even got a gem on Enigma now to remove any remaining bits of vision here Xtreme Gaming have left. Take back their outpost. It's the warding battle. Always beautiful to see these graphs come up. Axel, as well as DUI, really in a game of their own. The mind games, the vision games, coming down to these position 5 supports. So very important when all these team fights are really dictated by who gets the first jump, who can keep their Enigma or their Venge hidden the best.
Yeah. And then when it comes to heroes like the Doom, it's like making sure he doesn't get a Doom off on like a premium target, like a SF before he BKBs. And I mean, Ember, period. If you Doom this Ember, it feels like the fight's just won off of that. So whether or not you can cast some of these key spells is going to be completely teamfight deciding in so many cases.
Especially if it's the double Doom. We saw in one of those previous fights, I think it was like the SF plus the Venge, it was SF plus 1, they get Soulboy and double Doom, and even if you don't kill them, it's still 2 heroes out of the fight for an extended period of time. Parker, BKB's up, life breaks in, but he's dead. Lu gets the kill, and Leo Stahl being burst down as well. The physical right clicks break through the BKBs of Infamous, and the Enigma caught. The chains come out of Paparazzi, and Infamous lose 3 core heroes in a row.
Well, Infamous are looking at their watches and saying, man, time's ticking. This draft isn't quite going as fast as we'd have liked it to. Husker gets caught in between armlet toggles there. He gets the BKB off and then tries to toggle as he jumps in, but just gets shredded by all the physical damage. We'll see it here again, but yeah, this is often in the past been the answer to Husker. It's just huge physical target, single target damage, and he just kind of jumped into his own demise there.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend's BKB coming out right in the nick of time. And Lu up at the top of the net worth now. An absolute beast of an SF at this point. A 2k lead swinging back into the hands of Xtreme. But we've still got this waiting period. And 2.5 minutes until the fast spawn of Roshan. Both teams going to be vying for control around that area. I don't know, Infamous, you know, knowing that 2 minutes left, you want to go for a fight now to use Black Hole, so you'll have Black Hole for the Roche fight, right?
I think so, and I like I think they feel like they just have to take fights, and like they were pushing this top T2 tower with no Aegis, so I think Infamous fully understand the situation that they cannot just sit back and wait for the next Roshan or wait for the next, you know, big team fight to present itself. They have to go and make that happen. As close as Parker is to his Aghanim Scepter, it's time to go. So very likely we see, you know, smoke ganks coming out, moves being made, because using Black Hole sooner rather than later makes a lot of sense.
So what do you want to do as Xtreme if you're also knowing that fact that Infamous are, you know, if they start using the voice wheel line with a tick-tock, tick-tock,
yeah.
Time's running out.
Yeah, kind of play keep away a bit. I mean, you defend your objectives and towers with BKBs, but you only want to fight around your vision. Like, when you're defending a tower, it's very easy to get a clean initiation off, time your BKBs well, maximize your damage output, but they're not really needing to make any aggressive moves until Roshan respawns. I don't think they want to give up this Rosh without a fight.
Yeah, they might start forcing Infamous back now. Glyph used up on the tier 2 bottom. Nobody's coming though. They're shoving out mid, grouping up top again for that tier 2, which it sat at 46 HP. You want to go kill that objective. It'll die. A little breeze comes over and pushes it over.
Yeah, but you don't feel good about this if you're Infamous. You just lost, like, you lose a bottom tier 2 that was full health. You lose your entire bottom lane just to finish off the top tower. But that's the part of the map that they need to play around, because they are playing for that next Roshan. So they're kind of stuck in this awkward situation where they just have to give up a lot of farm and map control to the Xtreme Gaming side, and we'll see if it can pay off, because this game slowing down the way it is surely not something that they're going to be thrilled about. But they do manage to farm up the Aghanim Scepter, and now Roshan potentially up, and well, will be up in the next 3 minutes, but could be as soon as 10 seconds from now.
It could, and some very interesting elements coming into play now as well with these item pickups. Shadowblade, yes, on the Lina, going to give Leo Stahl a little easier time to get in and out of those team fights, but Silver Edge on the Shadow Fiend, an absolutely brutal tool here to use against the Huskar. We've already seen how well Lou can do. Just punching into him as Xtreme will smoke up together. They're wandering up into that northern jungle where Infamous smoking themselves as well. This team fight,
this is the big one.
Make or break.
Yeah, particularly for Infamous. I think Xtreme Gaming a little bit more room for error with their draft, but if you're Infamous, you're playing the Husker side of things, you need this fight to go your way and to secure this Roshan.
And look at the vision, right? Dire have vision in the enemy triangle. They will see Xtreme Gaming all grouped up. Do they know where the Shadow Fiend is? Did the Sentry see him? He's now hitting Ancients and the Soul Bind. The Double Doom, it comes in. Lou got off his BKB along with the DP. Leo Stahl and Parker jumping in with that big life break hit in, but DY with a swap out. Gets the Shadow Fiend away. Now the Black Hole catches onto the 2. But Xtreme Gaming have managed to get the SF and Ember Spirit away. Trouble being, though, gods, is Roshan is seconds away from spawning.
That's the outcome Infamous were hoping for. It's not the dream outcome. I mean, like you said, Ember and SF getting away at least salvages things a bit for Xtreme Gaming, and that's where they have that bit of room for error. They're going to walk away from that saying, okay, bad fight, but the game's still in kind of the same place as it was 5 minutes ago. They're likely to get a free Roshan off of this, but we can still play around that and still defend our high ground. So we'll see where
Infamous go. It, though.
Yeah, they're
like they're not.
I don't know. They're not in the Roshan pit. Surely, I mean, this is prime Roshan time. Like, you just win a big team fight, even if you don't know Roshan is alive. You got to just camp out your support or an idol on there or something. We'll see the fight here again, but yeah, great initiate. I mean, playing around vision, just getting off a double doom was just the deciding factor there. And if you're Xtreme Gaming, you've got to deward those cliffs.
Look at Paparazzi. He's just in enemy jungle, facing off against Affliction, saying, I see you. If I find you in a team fight, you're gonna get the same treatment again.
Whenever Doom's on cooldown, his game is pretty much free. Like, there's nothing that really threatens to kill him. I guess Black Hole, but...
Well, with Black Hole down...
Okay.
Xtreme Gaming...
Yeah. No ultis, really. No Black Hole, no Doom. I mean, Doom really is the big one for Paparazzi.
Michael, stunned. He was thinking about the blink in. Paparazzi going to kill off Affliction on the right-hand side, but in comes Parker, grabs the Aegis. Low swapped out by DY. They've got this soul bind onto Old Levin and Paparazzi as Parker blows up the Venge, but a very close call as Infamous, they get the upper hand with some swift movement.
They got there just in time. That was like right as Roche is dying, Parker's flying in, pushes him away with the with the inner fire, and then manages to steal both the Aegis and the shard out of it.
Oh, very nice. What gave them the vision as well? Like, was it an Eidolon that went in the pit?
It may have been. Yeah, I think just an Eidolon or something blindly guessing to run on in. Yeah, they barely got there in time.
They flew out of nowhere. Parker with 2 lives now. Infamous are feeling a little bit better about how things are going, especially since Black Hole is back up in 30. That was a fight without it. Oh, Lincoln's from the Ember Spirit means he's not going to get caught out there by the Aghanim's Huskar. Forcing that duel is incredibly annoying as an Ember Spirit. It looks like Lou Shadow Fiend hiding on that right-hand side of the map. Cleared out a wave. Considering the go again while in the top rune spot. Bit of a scrap between Michael and PYW, forcing the Doom to BKB.
Radiant are scanning.
PYW. Is that his own gem? No, that was Affliction's gem that they've managed to get. So 1 for each team currently, as Enigma holds a second one that Infamous have bought.
Yeah, now we're going to be entering that kind of those more late game oriented fights where some of these big ultimates, the Black Hole particularly, can have a big impact on things. I mean, we saw the Double Doom and what it can do last fight. If you're someone like DY on Venge, you can't really afford to get picked off to kind of start a fight because you're the one whose job it is to cancel a Black Hole. If Venge gets sniped, all of a sudden it's kind of open season for Frank to just Black Hole whoever he wants with this BKB.
Man, if I was PYW, my butt would be clenched so hard right there. He's like hiding, yes, he's in this, sure, but Dragon Slave comes thinking, oh, am I going to get stunned or something? Do they see me? And both supports TPing out. And the Enigma signaling. And both these side lanes being pushed too hard. We need to choose a spot where we want to play from. Mid-tier 2 still alive on the Radiant side is a little bit of a problem for Infamous. I would love to break that because it gives them so many more options, more avenues to access the enemy base.
Yeah, despite having an Aegis, it just hasn't really felt like Infamous are the ones in that much control of this game. They're constantly having to react to lanes being shoved out, the Ember being this kind of annoying split-pushing presence, and I mean, Doom is trying to itemize to address it. Goes into this Force Staff to kind of use that as a Linken's breaker. You can kind of blink, War Stomp in, and then Force Staff to break Linken's and then Doom the Ember, but that's, you got to get all those buttons off in succession, but does give them a way to at least try and jump him if he's alone.
Very tight-knit group here, Infamous. Paparazzi doesn't land his slight, but he does remnant away. He knew it was all coming.
Yeah,
Observer Ward finally being taken out.
See where he goes from here. He's got the Aghanims queued up, so going for that hyper mobility as well as that kind of chip and poke, which we've just constantly seen, being able to just, throw a bunch of remnants, poke it and kill the backlines, and try and remnant himself out of there. He never really wants to commit his actual hero into like a right-click battle. I mean, that's just Huskar in a nutshell. That's just not a hero many people want to try and face tank.
He sure isn't. An absolute monster here. And Parker, 3-3-7. The scoreline maybe doesn't indicate how well he has done in keeping this tempo and the ball rolling for his squad. Infamous yet again utilizing these smokes to sit in behind the Huskar. And like you mentioned in the end of the draft, he is a very good hero to just sit in the front, be that vision breaker, the hero that likes to be dogpiled upon and forcing the opponents into really unfavorable positions against the Black Hole in particular. And I'll have this smoke for another 10 seconds or so. Blue, silver-edged. Gets the break onto Huskar for a sec. Thinking about the initiation with the Inkswell. Parker just going to return to pushing high ground. Going to lose the Aegis quickly, though. But in comes Michael. Lincoln's pop sold by now. Double Laguna Blade, but Frank can't get the Blink Black Hole he needed. There's a disarm on Huskar. The swap does catch out Michael, so Doom gone. And Paparazzi diving into backlines, looking for Axel. Oh, it is time to scramble and run away. Infamous, you've used BKBs on all your heroes. And Frank doesn't have an opportunity to Black Hole. Lincoln's there as Parker, BKB TP, he'll get out. But the rest of his squad, not so lucky.
Yeah, Frank didn't go for the TP during his BKB, perhaps thinking the Exorcism was going to shred him down, but really the fight, as soon as that Doom goes down and Ember's not the one getting doomed, it was free reign for Paparazzi. He's like, okay, I'm in, this fight's won. Like, he just knows The second that Doom is not on him, that he can do whatever he wants, jump in the backlines, the Aghanim Scepter coming out. Now he's got an Arcane Rune as well. This Ember has just got too perfect of a game.
And that was Paparazzi putting the Lincolns onto Lou, right?
So he's like, Lincoln's my buddy, and I'm just not afraid of anything else. Yeah, he put it on him. He saved his life. What a play. What a boss.
Yeah, I just clicked SF, and he's like, wait, SF doesn't have Lincolns. So it must have been Paparazzi. Didn't notice it in the midst of the team fight, but watching that replay back, we see it. And all of its beautiful perfection from Paparazzi there.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And now Infamous, I mean, kind of feels like they've got to play the waiting game for the next Roshan, but that's even more room for Xtreme now. And build up the SF and the Ember Spirit even further. One of the upsides, though, is you've got a Doom position 4, so scaling potential is there for Michael.
It is, yep. I mean, you get some kind of, I guess he's got Shivers and Hex. He's not thinking Refresh right now. There's just one hero he wants to Doom, and that's going to be Paparazzi's Ember. I mean, he went for the Doom on the SF last fight, but I think that was a mistake in itself. But I think he's just gotten a bit frustrated knowing that there's no chance for him to really Doom an Ember here. And more than anything, I think Infamous as a team got a bit frustrated there. Like, trying to force a Blink onto high ground with your Doom, like, it's just not really the, I think, best approach to a fight there. They need to be a little bit more patient and try and fight under their vision outside of the Radiant base a bit more.
Yeah, like where they are right now. Under a high ground obs, ready with a Blink, BKB Black Hole of Frank.
And if you're Xtreme Gaming, you're just like, we don't want to give you that good fight. We'll play on our own terms. We'll play around our smokes. You know, if there's no Roshan up, we're not going to force a really risky engagement. But this smoke perhaps could lead to a bit of a risky engagement if they do go near that dire ward.
And these wards are so important. We can see how Affliction's been playing. He's already bought 2 gems. He has 3 more queued up. He's not really bought any items for himself apart from fluffy hats. He's like, I'm buying fluffy hats and gems. That's my job.
He knows how important this Vision game is. Unfortunately, yeah, they've lost a gem or 2. I think just the 1 gem, but or maybe 2. Yeah, they've lost there's a couple of gems on the Radiant side. So
yeah, there's 1 in base and 1 on the Venge, right? Or 1. Yeah, there's another one somewhere.
There's 1 in base. I'm not sure whose that is. It doesn't say. Okay.
Yeah, both of them. Axel bought Affliction bought both of those. So PYW, yeah, holding 1 of them now. Smoke didn't come to anything, but XG still out on the map attempting to get a bit of traction.
Get the ward down, though. This is the important Roshan time. It is on their side of the cliff. Meanwhile, Infamous have the double Observer ward on their side. So if you're Xtreme Gaming, you're thinking about ways to de-ward this. They do scout it out now. And Old 11's going to be tasked with taking it out. Although, once again, yeah, they need some way to get the vision. It's very spooky. Once you get that 1 right click off and you lose your high ground vision to finish off the ward, you're like, let's just get out of here.
Yeah, not worth it. And in the meantime, Roshan's respawned.
They're in there.
Back in the pit. Frank is smoked up, ready to strike, but Affliction getting caught out. A couple of hits in for Paparazzi, and he's down. Buyback from the Grim, but you are correct. Roshan already dead. So Aegis for Parker, Cheese for Leo Style, and a Refresher Shard for Frank's Enigma.
Dream item. You're so happy finding that one over the Aghanim Scepter, and suddenly you've found yourself a nice little win condition here if you're Infamous. You're thinking this double black hole, that gives, like, we can have one get insta-cancelled by a swap and still get that second one off.
The jump in. They've caught out the Doom. SF offering so much damage, and the Grimstroke, who just bought back, dies back. 3v5 now as Leo Style BKB TPs. Parker gonna try to do the same thing. The damage coming, not quite fast enough.
That doesn't feel good. You just got yourself Aegis and Cheese and you're in full retreat mode, and they just don't have a way to protect the backlines. It's often so important in these late game fights when these supports start getting a lot more farm and have these big game deciding spells like Doom, Soulbind. You've got to be able to protect these heroes. All those heroes need to be able to protect themselves with their kind of, you know, playing around trees, playing around blinks, but heroes like Doom and Grimstroke just don't have good kind of self-defense, and all it takes is 1 stun. The Nyx Assassin setting things up for that easy first kill, and Ember, Paparazzi's just insta-killing Grimstroke anytime he shows himself.
Yeah. I kind of feel for Frank here. It's so difficult to be confident on this Enigma. Like, we can say, hey, he should be just black holing that Ember Spirit when he jumps the Grim, or maybe he should have blinked in and caught out the SF or Nyx. But the fact that DY has done such a spectacular job playing in Fog means the Enigma just doesn't feel good enough without Lincoln Sphere to go in and black hole.
Yeah, it's so tough, and like you know that Venge is just kind of camping it out, waiting his sole job just to cancel a black hole, so he's got to just play so careful.
Well, they are ready to go back out on the map again. Infamous. It looks like they're heading up top. This is still all under Radiant Vision, though. Yeah, high ground orbs being spam pinged by Affliction. They know it's likely there. Try and play under their own orbs for now. There's Xtreme Gaming. They bring the numbers top. PYW leading the charge, and Parker. Oh, he's a little isolated now. He's caught out with a stun, the silence in, the Aegis pop, the black hole from Frank. Swap out to save those. DY bails out his buddies. PYW and DY both dropping low. And Leo Style opening up with Parker's help to get the SF. They got him. And Frank, he holds on to that secondary black hole, even though he did BKB.
Yeah, he did pop the refresher and everything, so it was kind of a... You know, usually you're thinking, like, you should swap the Enigma there and cancel the black hole, but I actually kind of like that he goes for the save, knowing that if he does that, there may just be a secondary black hole right after it, so... Looks to keep his teammates alive here, but onto the high ground we go. No Aegis in hand, but no buyback for SF. Could spell a lane of racks here if they're not careful, but it's so hard to push into the constant chip of an Ember Spirit. Who's going to keep spamming that slide.
Yeah, you see, they've given Parker the cheese at least, as he does go in onto the Nyx. Might have to use the cheese immediately, and there's the black hole.
Perfect.
Catches the two of them. Beautiful from Frank. Paparazzi's going to try and slide and throw to jump away. They do get out of there with the Ember Spirit, with a couple of buybacks out of the DP and the Nyx. But it looks like a tier 3 and maybe a full lane is forfeit here, as Infamous plant themselves up on this enemy high ground. They get a glyph out with the reset from the tier 3 falling, and enough time for SF to respawn in 10 seconds.
He will be.
Melee Barrett's
He's respawning with very few souls, though. Definitely a little bit of a problem for him in terms of his ability to teamfight, particularly playing around the Aghanim shard, but looks like he'll be okay. They're going to completely back off on the side of Infamous, wait for Black Hole to come back online, as well as Doom. All their ultimates being down does give them a... Oh,
the swap!
Oh, my.
Oh,
no.
Parker thought he was out and free, but he gets swapped back by DY. And they've got the stuns this time to kill off the Huskar.
He did not see that coming. The Radiant Ward on that cliff, and that's a pretty big find. And all of a sudden, it's going to be Xtreme Gaming pushing forward on the front foot, looking to get some revenge here. They did lose a melee Rex, but just one melee Rex at 40 minutes in. You're not really thinking too much about that if you're Xtreme Gaming. You're thinking about how you can take another good fight while these big ultimates are on cooldown. Still 60 seconds with no black hole. The Doom is about to come back up, but they'd love to fight with hole on cooldown.
It's a 4v5. There's no Huskar for 50 seconds either. I mean, Lou, straight up onto high ground. The glyph required from Infamous. That's just going to delay the push forward. And now the glyph is down. A fresh creep wave arrives with catapults as well.
Midnight Pulse deterring them for now. It looks like they want to play things a bit cautiously, but they're going to swing top.
There's the jump. Michael's in. The double Lincolns. Paparazzi. He's done it again. You can't let him get away with this. With a soulbind coming, they will kill the Venge. Infamous spend quite a bit there, though, as the plays to save their teammates. Lincoln's layered on top with the swap.
It just goes to show how strong the high ground defender's advantage is. They don't even get the Doom off, and they still hold their high ground in convincing fashion. And kind of, I mean, they win the fight in some ways. Like, they buy time for Huskar to respawn, for Black Hole to come back up. Even though Doom is on cooldown now, I think you're very happy with the outcome there. If you're Infamous, where you didn't, you know, all you committed was a Doom cooldown in order to defend your high ground.
And back into our favorite part of Dota 2, looking at the Roshan respawn counter.
What's it gonna be? I mean, it's kind of interesting because I don't feel like Infamous can afford to have this game drag out too much. Like, we've seen a few times where they're willing to make these plays even without an Aegis in hand, but I mean, late game Dota with an Enigma, they're waiting for a refresher. They'd love the refresher shot as well. I think we are reaching that point where they are going to prioritize Roshan a little bit more.
They are in a pretty good spot here. PYW is going to be able to scout out a couple of them. Xtreme even smoking as 4. They've got everything ready. Green lights all across the board.
I think smoking at daytime is really good for them. It just allows them to find heroes like Grimstroke that much easier, as well as the Doom. Grimstroke's just this free kill for them in every single fight.
Right now, Infamous playing very, very delicately on the right side of their own triangle, though. Then they're holding a smoke on the Grim. There's also one on the Doom, so it looks like they want to try and make a counterplay here and maybe a good read on what Xtreme Gaming were trying to do. And bot lane's pushed in, top lane, yeah, reaching towards tier 3s. They've got to know that the fact it's only Ember Spirit showing on the map, the rest of Xtreme are somewhere lurking in the shadows. Parker's the one to lead on out again. He's pinging like 300 range in front of him, saying, I'm going here, I'm moving forward, step by step. Wandering up to high ground, sees old 11. Immediate life break in, and pops his BKB quickly. But in comes Paparazzi, finding that immediate snipe onto the Grimstroke yet again. And old 11, he's perfectly fine, gets back in. The black hole comes, but Yules is up. He dodges the black hole, and there's the swap. Old 11's out, Frank is down, and Xtreme Gaming, they found all the kills they need so far. Parker, can he escape with a life break to creeps? The magic missile follows him, and now he's broken and taken down.
No buyback on any of them.
Xtreme, they've got this game in the bag now, it feels like.
Surely.
Game 2, gonna be taken by them over Infamous. I mean, you buy back on the Grim, but what can you do? You're out of steam at this point.
Yeah, they consider going for tier 4s, but they'll play it safe, get the outer racks first, then maybe think of weigh up their options here. They don't know about the buyback status. They're assuming Husker has buyback. They're maybe thinking Enigma does, knowing that he didn't quite finish the refresher, but at this point you're thinking, well, let's try and force them. Let's try and make a play happen here. Enigma could have... Does he really have refresher plus buyback? That's so much gold that they've got to imagine that they're pretty damn safe here, and hitting tier 4s with no buyback, they've got to start really thinking that this game is now in the bag.
Yeah, they've got to know it. And Infamous, they've got to try and throw everything they can in towards them. They try and get in towards old 11, but they blow up the Grim. They'll find the Lina now too. And they'll tie things up Xtreme as Michael will be the last one to fall before the GGs come. We're heading to game 3 as all the series before us have gone as well.
You know, today almost ended in disaster for Xtreme Gaming. A last pick Husky. You can see them there. They're not looking very relaxed. That is a...
relief.
Yes, relief. You can still... I feel like I can feel the anxiety kind of coming off of them. There's no celebrations. There's just like this... We're looking at my screen. They're thinking like game 3, like we can't get eliminated. This is TI at stake.